So I can vividly remember one of my meetings that I was in when I was in corporate America at my very last job, where I was just saying to myself, I'm just over it. I brought in so much money for this company. This is when I was working in tech sales, and I brought in so much money for this particular company, thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, okay? Based on the quotas that I was meeting and exceeding, okay? So I'm just sitting in this meeting while they're talking about the numbers and how much they earned this quarter. And all the while, I'm thinking like, okay, shouldn't my commission check be a little higher? And why is the commission check always late, consecutively, always late? That's what really pissed me off about being in corporate. Just them getting all this money, being greedy, while giving us, the workers who work the hardest, giving us the crumbs and not really acknowledging us as hard workers as we are, really acknowledging us and compensating us the way that we're supposed to be compensated. So that's when I said to myself, I'm over this, plus other factors as well. I talked about this in previous videos. I'll mention it briefly here that made me want to stay away from corporate America. So aside from not getting compensated fairly, I was just tired of being an introvert in corporate America and them not really understanding how introverts operate and just feeling like I didn't fit in. And then also too, when my father passed away in 2022 and him knowing that he had just a year before he was set to retire, before he passed away, he never got to see or experience his retirement, never got to travel, things like that. That's those three things compounded made me just forget corporate America, leave and never come back. Okay. And that's what made me take that sabbatical and start my cleaning company. So I just wanted to get you guys caught up if you didn't know my story and you're seeing this video for the first time. But yeah, when I was in corporate America in the very beginning, I was extremely ambitious. I wanted to climb that corporate ladder, that dream that we were all sold. Go get your degree, get a good job, climb the corporate ladder, buy a house, start a family, get a dog, get a white picket fence around the house, things like that. I realize now that that is not my dream. The American dream for me is dead, okay? But yes, getting back to the topic of the video, I spent 15 plus years in corporate America and it almost broke me. And before I start going off into my tangents and talking more about the video, I realized I did not introduce myself. So for those that are watching this for the first time, my name is Jera. I am a proud introvert. I am child-free by choice, and I'm someone who believes in rebuilding your life and living authentically. Okay, so this channel is mainly about introverts quietly rebuilding their life that's outside of societal norms. So thank you for being here. Please consider subscribing and leaving a comment down below if I said anything that resonates with you or if you want to add anything to today's topic. All right, so getting back to the topic, I spent 15 years in corporate America and it almost broke me, honey child. When I tell you, I think, well, how old am I? I'm 42 years old now, so about 5 years ago or so, that's kind of when I had my awakening. Some people call it a midlife crisis. Some, like myself, call it again an awakening. Just something within me asked myself internally, I'm like, I don't want to do I want to keep doing this for the rest of my life? Because I am not fulfilled. I'm checking off all the boxes except for the family thing. And I did have a house, a townhouse, but I'm checking off all the boxes that society says I'm supposed to be doing at this stage in my life, but I'm still not happy. Okay. So I had the good job or good jobs, plural, quotation marks, air quotes, whatever. It looked good on paper. I had the good jobs. I had the job that flew me from Atlanta to Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. And I was there for about a year and a half. And then while I was there, that's when my dad passed. But I'll talk about this in other videos. I don't want to talk about this right now in today's video. But I'm saying all this to say that I had the jobs that looked good on paper and I had the good salary. I was considered the rich auntie. I still am, okay? But those were things that I thought were successful to me in the very beginning. So I walked into corporate America essentially thinking that it would build me. But what it ended up doing was breaking me in the very end because I just started to wake up to all of the nonsense, the gossip, the higher you go up or you try to, move up within the ranks, you have to, there's this unspoken rule that you have to impress people or kiss people's ass or be available for all these after work events and all this other stuff. And I just don't have the energy for that. It just disgusts me knowing that people have to perform and brown nose in order to get a promotion. And shout out to those very few companies that don't participate in this type of nonsense. Shout out to y'all. I know it's very few and far between, but I know that there's some out there. Unfortunately, I was never exposed to those type of environments. So if you are in that type of environment, you are blessed, okay? And you know what? I want to pause for a minute and admire my hair. I haven't done a twist out in a very long time. I'm not doing a tutorial, so don't ask me for it. But I'm just, again, admiring my hair. It's so shiny and stuff. But all of my products I use on my hair are in my Amazon storefront, which is linked in my bio and in the description of this video. So moving along. When you're working in a toxic work environment, it just really drains you. Having to go deal with that day in and day out, whether it's an in-office job, a hybrid job, or if you're working 100% from home, it can still be draining to work in a toxic work environment. And just people act like they can't allow people to just show up to work, log into work, do their job, and just either clock out or physically go home. And as long as they're doing a good job, that's all that really should matter, right? I can definitely understand you pressuring the person that's not meeting their metrics or not doing their job, not showing up on time all the time. You bother those type of people. Don't bother the person that's doing what they're supposed to do, coming to work, doing their job, looking cute while doing their job. But you make their life a living hell, all because you have this, I guess, internal jealousy, or because you're still stuck in this high school mentality that you're the popular one and people are supposed to kiss up to you and pay you some attention. I don't know. I just don't get it. And then you have these stupid rules that you have to abide to, whether they make sense or not. And then for a person like me to question certain things, now I'm looked at like I'm a problem. If you ever experienced that, let me know in the comments because I like to know what's going on and why am I expected to do certain things if it doesn't make sense. I'm going to question it to get some clarity. That makes sense to me, right? That's what you're supposed to do. But no, when certain leadership, so-called leadership, feel threatened by certain questions that they probably can't answer logically, I don't know, they find a way to make your life a living hell. And it's just really dumb and stupid and very pointless also. Speaking of pointless, let's talk about these Zoom meetings. Some of them that could have been emails or little memo notes or whatever. Oh my God, that was so draining. Just thinking about it just brings me back to how I felt when I was in corporate America and just feeling like, oh my God, not again. Another all hands meeting. Like, do I have to be here? You're pulling me away from the phones in order for me to make these sales that y'all claim, y'all care about and, you brag about how much money you're making every quarter, but yet we're in these meetings where we're not required to be on phones to assist customers, which never really made sense to me because you got people calling in. This is when I was working from home and I was, had my headset and everything like that. So yeah, we were in these meetings for like 2 hours and I'm thinking to myself, well, who's manning the phones? Who's actually serving the customers that keep you in business? Like that's bad business to me. At least have a few of us off these meetings in order to man the phones for those couple of hours. So stuff like that is what I used to question. You would question it too if you were in my shoes, right? It just doesn't make sense. So just stuff like that. And like I said, those type of meetings, especially those meetings, those could have been emails. Those could have been like updates because we weren't allowed to speak anyway in those meetings. We were just sitting there listening to what they were talking about. I'm like, this could have been in freaking email. So let's talk about the emotional and mental toll working these jobs had on me. So I can vividly remember a few nights where I wasn't able to sleep, just tossing and turning, up all night, couldn't fall asleep for nothing because of the anxiety of going to work the next day. And most of the time, these were on Sunday nights. If you know about the Sunday scaries, you know what I'm talking about. But yes, I would just spend a few nights just tossing and turning because I either didn't want to go to work or I was anxious about something that was happening the next day at work. And sometimes I just contemplated just calling off altogether. But then remembering, okay, wait, I don't have any more sick days left, or my PTO is safe for this certain event that's coming up or this vacation that's coming up. I don't know about y'all, but I could never hold on to 1,000 hours or days of PTO. I had to use my stuff up because I never let them accumulate for very, very many days at all. Because I'm just like, I can't do this. Let me call off. So yeah, I was that person that never held on to 100 hours of PTO and all this other stuff. No, I'm gonna use mine up. Mm-mm. But yes, the anxiety, the stress of it all. And I'm just like, this can't be normal. This can't be life. I'm supposed to be doing things that I enjoy doing, tapping into my creativity more. Why am I getting paid just to be stressed out, to be anxious, to gain weight, to have all this cortisol and not be able to sleep at night? No, this can't be life. So that's when I first realized that corporate America was starting to break me, mentally and physically. Now let's get into the emotional side because honestly, this was the turning point for me. The point where I said, deuces, I can't do this no more, and I will not do this anymore. So this was on a random Wednesday, and it was a day that I was just so physically, emotionally, spiritually drained from just everything, dealing with that job that I had. This is when I was in tech sales, again, my very last job that I had before I took my sabbatical and started my cleaning company. So because of a previous person or a couple of people that were abusing the lunch rules and all that, and this is so stupid, just me even talking about lunch rules. Like I was a grown adult. I am a grown adult, and I'm having to ask somebody or let somebody know that I'm going to lunch. And it was a virtual environment, okay? 100% work from home. But because certain couple of people weren't clocking in at times they were supposed to clock in, like they were clocking in 30 minutes later, 45 minutes later, they started to monitor us on camera. Yes, you heard that correctly. Okay. We have to start telling people what time we were going to lunch and then let them know what time we came back. And in between that time frame, they were clocking us, to make sure that we were getting back on time. All because of these two people that weren't abiding by the rules or just abusing the lunch breaks. But I'll talk about my father's death as the catalyst, but it was one of the last things I remember promising myself that I would not follow in those same footsteps with regard to working up until I'm 65 and then retiring. So my ideology was working this tech sales job, stacking up all the money I could, all the commissions that I could, and then retiring at about 55, 53, 55 years old. That was going to be my retirement age. But after that experience that I just described there, where we had to, check in for lunch and all this other stupid stuff and feeling like I'm in high school all over again, with regard to somebody telling me what I can and cannot do, telling me what time I need to be back from lunch and monitoring how many times I'm typing on my keyboard and all this other stuff, it just really felt dehumanizing after a while. And I just said, enough is enough. So all those experiences that I talked about before in the very beginning of the video, all those things just compounded into me just being done with corporate America because it shouldn't have to be like this. We should just, again, be able to come to work, do our jobs well, and go home. We should be allowed to take adequate breaks. Okay, we're not robots. And by the way, the lunch break I was telling y'all about was 30 minutes. We only had 30 minutes out of an 8.5 hour day to decompress and eat some lunch. And honestly, that wasn't enough time anyway. And of course, I knew all of this before I accepted the job position. Yeah, I know that. I know some of y'all are thinking that, but my thing was okay, again, just looking at the money, the whole money thing. I'm like, okay, I can deal with it. If I'm going to be making this much money, I'll just, deal with it. Plus, I'm working from home anyway. I can snack in between calls and stuff like that. That's what I was telling myself. So, about a good 2 or 3 weeks after the whole lunch break debacle or rule that was set in place, that's when I chucked the deuces. It wasn't just an instant thing, if y'all are thinking that as well. But yeah, I couldn't take it no more. And then my thing is too, why are you punishing everybody for the mistake that two people were making? Why not just get rid of them? Don't make our life a living hell because they didn't do what they were supposed to be doing. So looking back, I really have to applaud myself and pat myself on the back because I really just left without having anything else lined up. I don't know if y'all knew that or not, but do not do what I did, okay? I'm not telling you to do what I did. I'm just sharing my story. But yeah, I just took a leap of faith. And about 2 weeks after I took that leap of faith, that's when I started watching more YouTube videos. And then after a while, Timothy Ward's videos start showing up on my timeline. And he talks about a lot of the seasonal jobs throughout the United States and then alternative ways of living that don't involve working a corporate job. So yeah, I was really tuned into him. Still am, by the way. But yeah, he really opened my eyes to working a seasonal job. So that's when I applied for a housekeeping job in Alaska. I worked there for almost a year. And then I came back here to Georgia and started my cleaning company. So essentially, looking back, I am kind of thankful for those experiences I had in corporate America because had I not been so pissed off and if I were to remain comfortable and complacent with some things, I wouldn't be where I am today. And don't get me wrong, working for yourself has its ups and downs, okay? It is not a walk in the park. And also, leaving corporate America did not fix everything, but one thing it did do for me was give me the confidence to choose myself. And I'm very proud to say that I've built a company that's based on trust, professionalism, and I do not dread waking up every morning going to do what I do. And for that, I am so blessed and so grateful and so thankful. So if you're watching this video and you feel like your corporate job is one day eventually going to break you, just understand that what you're feeling is real and you do not need to feel bad for it. Let's just be real. Corporate America, it is what it is. It's a system that's built on hustle culture, hustle and bustling. This quiet rule that you have to perform and be part of these office politics in order to move up within the ranks and all this other stuff. And after a while, it is very draining and it can damage your spirit. But here's what you must do. I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm not saying to quit your job tomorrow, next month, next year, whenever. But I do want you to take some time to evaluate what it is that you are truly passionate about. Okay. Take some time to discover what it is that lights you up, that gets you going, that you feel like you could do, that you wouldn't dread doing every day. And then find ways to do those things on the side until, you can make it your main thing. Or if you don't want to go into full-time entrepreneurship, you could ask to have your hours reduced. Once you get your side thing built up, of course, ask to have your main job. Ask if you can work part-time instead of full-time while working your side thing, your side business. And, do that. But yes, there are definitely ways to get out of the whole draining spirit of working in corporate America. You just have to find out what works out, well, what's going to work out best for you. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. That was my topic, how corporate America drained me or broke my spirit after being in it for 15 plus years. I hope that you found something valuable in what I said today. If you want to add something to the conversation, I would love for you to leave a comment down below. And again, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Share this video with someone that you feel like needs to hear the topic. And again, I just thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next Sunday, same time, same place. Bye.